relate to other people. Like there are a lot of people who have anxiety, who have depression, who have anger. Not just people who want to hear love songs. Everyone falls in love, but everyone also gets depressed. Everyone gets angry. Everyone gets anxious, and there's a lot of anxiety. And I always found as a kid that if I listened to someone who was writing a depressed song, like a Pink Floyd song or something, it made me feel better because I knew there was someone that out there that thought like I did, and I wasn't alone in my experience. And I've looked at that when writing music with more somber themes, like No Such Thing, for example. I don't think that's a depressing song in a sense. It's relating probably to other people who might share those feelings or might make sense to them. And then like on Carry On, there are a few songs that deal with different sort of strange relationship issues. She'll Never Be Your Man deals with something that actually happens nowadays, where someone's wife or girlfriend, significant other, leaves them for a woman. And I've actually had friends that have gone through that, and it's a strange type of being dumped, a strange type of heartbreak. And then Arms Around Your Love, where and that also happens to everyone, where you're in a relationship and you take it for granted, and it's the best thing that ever happened to you, but you're too full of yourself, and the next thing you know, someone else is with that person who's doing the right things, and you have to eat it. You have to watch it and see it and live with it. And those are kind of my ways where I find where I'm actually interested in the human relationships and the particularly like the male, female, or whatever, falling in and out of love, and the stupidities that people end up doing, and the desperacy that happens in the middle of it.
Cool. And also right now I see you in a different level. I mean, I see you with your kids, and I think that it's a great feeling to be a father.
It really is incredible. I think especially being like a songwriter and a rock singer and having success, you can get into a very selfish mode and thinking about yourself all the time. And are my songs good enough? Am I a good enough singer? Do I look good? Do people like me? And it's just having children sort of relieves me of all that, because I don't really think about that kind of stuff so much anymore. And it's made me more prolific as a songwriter. This is my fourth album in 5 years. Instead of getting in the way, I've been able to focus even more. So it's a miracle. And then children are just exciting. They're fun. It gives a person the opportunity too. Anything that happened to you as a child that was bad, you get to try to be a parent to your children and make that not happen. And invariably, you also make mistakes, the same mistakes your parents made. But it helps you understand your parents. Like there are times when I think, now I sort of get it a little bit.
They were right.
Yeah.
Cool. And also talking again about the album, I listened the song of Billie Jean, and when somebody tell me that you wanna do a cover of Billie Jean, it was weird to imagine the sound, but it sounds great. I mean, who came with the idea, first of all, of do a cover of Billie Jean and to change in that dramatic way the sound of the song?
Well, it started with a conversation I had with my wife Vicky, who wanted to she wanted me to explain to her the art of a cover song, because she would throw out song ideas like, why don't you do that song? It'd be really great for you. Why don't you do this song? And I would say, you can't just do any old song. There's an art to it, And so she wanted to know she wanted me to explain it. And I was saying, well, the two basic ways are, like, one where it just makes sense, like Pearl Jam doing The Who. They're fans of The Who. Eddie's a huge Who fan, and when they do a Who song, it just sounds right. It sounds like a band they should cover. And then there's this should never make any sense at all, like Johnny Cash doing Hurt by Nine Inch Nails or Rusty Cage by Soundgarden, where he completely reinvents those songs and redelivers them, but also makes them sort of heavier and more dramatic in his own way. So she wanted to know who would that be for me, and so I just off the top of my head thought, the last person whose music I would ever think of covering, Michael Jackson. Almost as a joke.
Yeah.
And then she challenged me to find a Michael Jackson song and show her, like, I can make that my own. I can make it great, better than the original, somehow embrace it. And that took a little work. The first time I tried it, just sort of normally on an acoustic guitar, it was really embarrassing. You know, I was embarrassed even though no one was around. I was alone. And then I switched it to 6/8 time signature, kind of the R&B or soul ballad, which I do to a lot of songs that I write, just to see how they feel that way. And suddenly it sounded like me, and the lyrics became heavier and more emotional. And then I really liked it. I did it live a couple times acoustically, and people really loved it, and ended up recording it for my record.
It sounds great.
It's really interesting to me, you know, what's possible with music. It still interests me to this day, and I think it always will. Which is why I put it on the record. I mean, it's nice to show that there are no rules and there are no real genres, and I think that music is always sort of constantly being put into genres and categories and boxes. And like Rick Rubin proved it with Johnny Cash, but he also proved it with Run DMC and Aerosmith, and you know, to a level that still amazes me. I remember the first time I saw that video, and there's Aerosmith, who I hadn't seen in a long time, doing an amazing song, and Run DMC, who I'm from Seattle, I'm just sort of figuring out that there's such a thing called hip-hop, and already he puts these two things together and shows the world what's possible with music. And then shouldn't be, and are really no walls or limitations or genres. It's just, we just sort of make that up, but it's not really there. It doesn't really exist.
Cool. And now the last question, are you going to be focused on release more solo albums, or is at some point some band invite you to become the singer? Would you say yes?
I don't know. I mean, ever since Temple of the Dog, I felt like I won't say no to a good idea if it's a collaboration. But I don't know about doing a band necessarily. I could see writing some songs or making a record with another person. But you know, I'm doing so well just writing songs on my own and just kind of enjoying the process that I think you know, several solo records in a row I think is important for me to do right now.
Well, thank you very much for this interview. It's always nice to talk to you. Carnales, pues ya lo vieron, tipazo, Chris Cornell, consigan su nuevo material discográfico, Carry On, un muy buen disco. Vamos a continuar con más No Le Cambie, estás aquí en Telehit.
Hi, this is Chris Cornell, and this is Chris Cornell Jr., and you're watching Calibre. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Cornell. I appreciate it.